I call this regular meeting of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees to order at 7 p.m. on August 4th, 2022. Board members, district staff members, and members of the audience, you are free to join me in standing as Grace Spees, President of the Farmers Branch Chamber, provides a message followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cassandra Hatfield and the Pledge to the Texas flag led by Tara Herbacek.
Good evening. I did not know I was supposed to prepare a message, so we're just going to go straight to prayer. Let us bow our heads. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we just bless you and thank you for this opportunity to gather together. We thank you for each and every individual represented here who are parents, teachers, administrators, staff, volunteers, and leaders. God, we pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment as they go through this school year, as they make moment-by-moment decisions. Father, we pray for your sovereign hand of protection over our schools, over our students, over every family, over every teacher. And we pray that there would be a peace that comes with that protection, that there would not be a place for fear in our schools, that it would be a place for love and nourishment and education. May we bring all glory and honor to you, Lord, as we go forth into this next school year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Ms. Spees, for being here tonight, and thank you to the Farmers Branch Chamber for your support of our Texas Public Schools. Thank you. Well, welcome, everybody. It's our first board meeting of the new school year. I know a lot of our staff are already back at it, and we want to welcome everyone tonight. We're excited you're here. As a district, we dedicate all our efforts and resources to our goal of high expectations for all. The board uses this goal to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You will get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in a closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, the board members present tonight are Tara Herbacek, Ileana Garza Rojas, Sally Derrick, Cassandra Hatfield, Carolyn Benavides, and Kim Brady. We constitute a quorum and may conduct business on behalf of the district. Before moving on to the next agenda item, I would like to remind you that the board will accept comments from citizens of the district and from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak either as an individual or as a representative of a group may do so during agenda item number 3, audience for guests. Please submit your request to do so on one of the forms provided on the table just outside the boardroom. You may place the completed form in the box provided on that same table or present your completed form to Administrative Assistant Kim Castanon. When the board addresses agenda item number 3, audience for guests, you will be invited to the podium to speak to the board. Our next item is special presentation and recognitions. A, district announcements. Item number 2, special presentations and recognitions, and item 2A, district announcements. Got it. Dr. Chapman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. First thing, we have artwork in front of us, and these are the winners from our district contest, 3rd grade through 5th grade. This is half. The other half will be at our next board meeting. So when you get a chance, take a look at the beautiful work that's in front of you. You also have another document in front of you, and it's called the Campus Fact Sheet. This is something we started, 4 or 5 years ago. You'll like it. It's in your bag, and it has every principal, secretary, assistant principal, has their breakdown, their demographics, has a calendar, etc. Just a great tool for you as the board to have as you navigate through the year. The second thing is tomorrow's our opening of school ceremonies, and so we'll have 3 sessions. The first one starting at 8 a.m. We're very excited. We're going to have a well-renowned author, Todd Whitaker. He will be our keynote for all 3 sessions, so I know you'll be in attendance, and so thank you for your participation in that event. Last thing is we're going to be providing you with our pre-rating. TEA is going to release that rating on August the 12th, and so we'll give you a sample on the 18th of August, and then a full report at the September meeting when Dr. Parker will present. So just wanted you to know that. We've had some conversations on when that would be. I know y'all have heard our scores are out. People have been talking about it, and I'm very excited to be able to share that with you. But once we get that on August 12th, it's more appropriate for the 18th to provide that to the Board of Trustees. That's all the announcements I have.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. The next item is 2B, update from PTA. And tonight we have Mrs. Pooja Shah.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Pooja, and I'm the president of the Council PTA for the year 2022-2023. We are so excited to get this year ahead. Many of our PTAs are supporting our schools at back-to-school bashes, scheduled pickups, and school tours this week. They are also planning lots of fun events, staff meals, and PTA membership contests. Our first delegate meeting will be on 7th of September 2023. Council PTA will also be hosting PTA training sessions on Saturday, September 10th from 10 to 1 for all our local PTA leaders to kick off this year. Snacks will be provided. This is just one of the many PTA training opportunities that our leaders will be offered. Membership has begun. Again, this year we are offering CFB Champion memberships where you can join all 36 of our PTAs, join by feeder pattern, or lend a helping hand to those PTAs that need your help. You can do this on the PTA tab on the district website. Just a friendly reminder to like our council Facebook page or Twitter to keep up with all what is happening within PTA in our district. Please remember, if you need assistance, please let our council PTA know. We are here to help everyone. Looking forward for a fun and exciting year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. The next item on the agenda is number 3, audience for guests. Mrs. Castanon, are there any in-person requests for this item?
Yes, we have 2.
Okay, before we begin, I will remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling audience for guests. Anyone interested to speak in person during audience for guests must sign in and list the topic they want to discuss. Each speaker will be allowed to speak once during audience for guests. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board dictated by board policy BED local. Because the board wants to hear from as many of you as possible while also keeping the meeting running efficiently, groups of more than 5 people who want to present a particular viewpoint or on a topic should appoint one person to speak on behalf of their group. Please remember that the board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on this agenda for this meeting. Last, we ask that you not discuss students who are not your own. The timer will be shown on the screen in front of you, and it will begin when you arrive at the microphone to speak. Again, that speaker's presentation will be limited to 3 minutes. Our first audience for guests tonight is Wendelin K.
Good evening, Dr. Chairman and members of the staff board. My name is Maria Gwendolyn Kane. I am the lead custodian at Aaron Turner High School. I'm coming here tonight to speak just on the behalf of all the facilities. I would like it taking a moment to introduce to you two who we are and what we need. We are the first people arrive at the school in the morning, turning off the lights, and as we coming in. We keep the school clean, safe, and security for our staff, students, and community. We are the last people to turn the lights and evenings turn it off, and as we go. And we proud of the CFB. When COVID has been present, we clean it and disinfect classroom and on occasions entire school, in addition to our regular cleaning duties. Learning environments. We continue to be in the front the line, keeping the school safety to provide the peace of the mind to the students, my staff, and parents. We are always the first on call and the duties in any of the such facilities is in call 24/7. We live in the same communities and go to the same stories. The money we keep on spending here give us a chance to spend it. The rate is not enough for everything we do. We need at the least $3 or $2 more. Please, members of the board, help us and support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kay. Next, we have William Jones.
If you don't mind, I'll take this out. Good evening. If you guys remember me from the last time, I was the guy that came out and talked about Gaggle, how they were potentially shipping off your photos of your underage daughter to $10 an hour workers, as detailed in a Fast Company article. What I did not have an opportunity to talk about, however, during that meeting was the other aspect of what Gaggle intends on infringing on in that respect, and that is they want to be involved in the social emotional learning process of our children. But we don't have time to talk about that right now. We have an agenda item. So we are set to approve the purchase of 2,500 copies of 3 books or handbooks. Your students, my students, our students, Rethinking Equitable and Inclusive Classrooms, Restorative Circles in Schools, a practical guide for educators, and the Restorative Practices Handbook. Well, I'd never heard of any of that before, so I decided to do a little Google search, and the first thing that comes up all over the place is culturally relevant pedagogy, or culturally relevant teaching, depending on who you talk to about that. Now, for those who don't know, culturally relevant pedagogy was a term coined by the educator Gloria Ladson-Billings in her essay, Toward a Theory of Culturally Relevant Pedagogy. And in her own words, it is a theoretical model that not only addresses student achievement, but also helps students accept and affirm their cultural identity while developing critical perspectives that challenge inequities that schools perpetuate. Her words, right? Now, if we look at the definition of that, cultural identity, critical perspectives, there's only one framework in town, folks, that purports to look at your own cultural identity through critical perspectives, critical race theory, all right? Cultural relevant pedagogy does 3 things. It tends to achieve academically, which is good. I'm not gonna, put that down. Develop students that can understand and critique the existing social order, including inequities. So they want to turn your kids into critical theorists, all right? And the idea behind this is we're having these handbooks that are coming out. We're trying to create these restorative circles. Sorry, I'm running a little bit short on time. The idea is that we want to create, as far as I can tell, in these learning environments, we want to create groups of students that come together and talk about hard to discuss issues where teachers seek to induce vulnerability into these students about hot button issues like perhaps men or boys in girls' bathrooms, systemic inequalities, if that's something that they want to bring up, and then induce vulnerable and emotional reactions, then teach kids how to interact with those things. So in conclusion, since I have 15 seconds left, I would really like you guys to take a look at the ideological origins underpinning the ideas put out in these books. I've got a whole bunch of other notes I'd be happy to share with any one of you after this meeting or in a private session. I'm always willing to come out and speak with you, but please don't approve this book. Put 2,500 copies of it in the hands of our teachers.
The next agenda item is number 4, non-action items up for discussion, and 4A, construction update. At this time, I'll turn it over to Malcolm Mulroney, Chief Operations Officer.
Could we pass each one of these to a board member, please? Thank you. All right. Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Chapman, thank you for this opportunity. I will say my PowerPoint has crashed 3 times since I've tried to load it, so I will hold my breath as we go through, because everything that can is going wrong this week. Let's dive right in. Before you get your standard board report as well as your list of projects, the key part there is every project's listed, even our completed projects, because we want that total to come up to 350.9 million, so we account for every penny every time. So if there's any questions about what's in the Tier 3 and Tier 4 elementaries coming up in 23, their names are listed right there. They're not forgotten about. They're absolutely on our list, and they're coming through the design process. Additionally, the next you get is your budget report, which has that bar graph. Again, that light blue is that construction estimate. The dark blue is that all-in price. Again, we don't want to spend less. I do believe that if the price is too good to be true, something doesn't add up. So we want to make sure we're spending that scope at those campuses just as the community instructed us to. But if we go over the dark blue line, we're spending too much, we can't finish the bond. That's not good either. And then below that, you'll see a breakdown of those prices. And then you've got your cash flow to see where we track overall. So that orange line is the accumulative spending. So that totals up to the 350 million. The blue bars are what we're doing each month. So you can kind of see the summer schedules, and then we kind of slow down going into the school year, and then another summer schedule. So you'll see that cadence, that very typical construction cadence as we go along. And the importance there is that we are right on track. We set these 2 years ago, and we're tracking along that orange graph, and you can go back month to month and see the same reports, same layout as we go along. So diving right in, we got our 2020 projects. The remaining one project there is Sheffield, which is coming along well. I know last time we chatted, I was ego hurt because we were not going to open, and then I've been speaking to my counterparts in Keller and Melissa and Frisco, and well, I'm in good company. There is a lot of schools that are not opening on schedule this year. So I think we made a good call early on. It's proven to be very effective. We met with the teachers this month, and it was exciting. There you can see some of the construction progress. That courtyard's coming together, graded out really nicely. The exterior is going up well. On the interior, kind of mixed bag. That one-story area where we could get there early, we're quite far along, but this is exactly what we were concerned about. As we get into that 2-story, getting more inspections from Dallas, things like that, we were delayed. However, that wasn't going to stop the staff coming up. So on August 3rd, Robert Atchison reached out to us and said, what could we do to welcome our staff back? And the construction team and design teams welcomed the idea. So we shut the site for a day, cleaned up real nice, and we did an entire scavenger hunt. There were 6 different stations. They went around and they got different stickers. There was a selfie booth. They learned about the energy efficient LEED certification. They did design exercises with Kate, kind of talking back through, because remember, a lot of these staff members are new, and we started designing 2 years ago. So we went through those exercises, explaining how the villages work, got to share that stuff, and then we had an awesome lunch together, and they did additional team building in the afternoon. So big shout out to Robert there, who's hit the ground running, really getting those folks excited about this new space, and getting those guys ready to go. So our construction will wrap up in October, and then we'll do our ribbon cutting, and they won't move in until December. They really need time to set their classrooms up, make sure that transition happens. And then remember, kinder is going to stay at Furneaux. Trying to move mid-year is just too much work for those guys. They've got all their routines down pat. They got their drop-off, pick-up, everything down pat to disrupt that lot. They said, no, let's keep them at Furneaux. They'll keep all their routines similar, and then they'll come over the following school year. So 1st grade through 5th, move in December, kinder will stay at Furneaux. Marquees are exciting. I don't know if you've been going around, and I think last time we chatted, I told you that I'd rejected some of the lettering and some of the metal work that we did, and well, I'm glad to say that I did that. So we got Davis and Stark out of the ground. You will see the others are in some stage of construction. Most of the screens are in. Dallas McCamey does not have their screen up yet, but it's on site and it'll be mounted this week. So we will have full LEDs for the start of school. Most will be in this condition for the start of school. I want to say a few in Irving may be missing their lettering or something like that, but by the August 15th, we'll be fully operational. Holly Patterson on our team was an AP, so I said, put your education to use, and so she designed our training for us principals, and so she had a lesson plan, and she had a slideshow, and so she met with them all, and so she's been taking questions and training everybody on how to use their marquees as we go forward. as well as support from Chris Jones, who's here, as well as Jeff Smith in communications, so that, again, we're using the same logos, the same color schemes, all of those consistencies to support that branding of CFB as we go around the district. Not to be outdone by, Newman Smith is coming along. The big push there is to complete Innovation Alley. So this is the student entry that's closest to that football field. And so you can see how it starts to mimic the front. So it's not just the front door that looks great, it's also the student entry as well. As you go in, though, this was all completed last year, but the furniture elements are coming in. That high countertop there with the stools have come in. So it's really starting to wrap up. And then my personal favorite is landing in that library. And on the left there, you have a rendering. And you'll notice that the graphic is actually different, because this rendering was designed before we got into the graphic process with LPA. And Stephanie brought some incredible students to the table who said, we're about connection. We're about where we are and where we're going. And so that's when Innovation Alley really took shape to this connection factor. And so we did this big mural in the library that kind of wraps up Innovation Alley and puts Smith High School right in the middle, and where it is located in DFW. So that was designed by students with LPA, and I'm really excited it doesn't look like the rendering. So that was one change that we had. Over at the middle schools, Perry Middle School's going along well. We've got a few, get to do some before and afters here, which I'm excited by. This is the 1995 edition. Fun fact, 1995, Perry still had a detached gym, so you would leave the building to go to the gymnasium. When they demoed that, they built this fairly substantial classroom addition as well as the gym at that time. So there you can see what we took from kind of CMU block and lockers to kind of this innovation learning spaces. Over in the courtyard, we heard it from the kids. They'd walk down the hallways, why can't we go in the courtyards? And so we wanted to open that up. So there's lots of access to the courtyards like you see at Vivian Field, so folks can have access to it, lots of glass for supervision. This one's right off of the library in the courtyard as you open that area there. Over on the other side, we had this strange courtyard that kind of, I think it was called the rock courtyard or the gravel courtyard at one point, because it separated that 95 edition. We filled it in, gained back some of that square footage, and started bringing this campus to look together as one single aspect. So here you have this area that's covered with 2 science labs between it. Sorry, that's the high area on the left, and then the artificial turf on the right that opens up to additional collaboration space on that side. So really giving that aspect of indoor-outdoor learning, giving that movement component that the curriculum folks tell us is so important, and that variety. So all of this is under secure protocol, so everything in these villages is safe. Kids can move around, they can use the different learning elements, use the collaboration furniture, things like that. Couldn't be outdone by not having a rubble picture in there. So that was September 2001, where we tore right through the middle of Perry. Again, not the historical aspect. The historical aspect is intact on the right, so that was completely kept and preserved. It was that 1970s section where the brick didn't really kind of match the historic, but it didn't really. So we just went right through it and we put the new entry right there. So that's the location of the library. Into the collaboration spaces, kind of highlight some of the wayfinding. So 7th grade is gray as their primary number, so color. So you can see the bulkheads are gray and some of the lettering is gray, whereas on the right, that's 8th grade where the lettering turns to red. So again, helping those kids find out where they're supposed to be and which rooms they're supposed to use, so the building supports that as well. No building can be opened without its staff members. These folks put their tennis shoes on and shorts and worked most of last weekend. Lance was around as well. They got their cafeteria ready for their PD. They've been working tirelessly, running out of the temporary building, the old karate building, as they get ready to move over, bringing everything over, moving the libraries, moving all the office stuff. They have been at it. And it's really exciting to see how close we are to ready to open. Perry is on schedule to open for the first day of school. We do our final security checks tomorrow with checking cameras, access controls, PA bell. All of it's been tested along the way, but I like to do a final sweep through of all of that. All the teaching spaces are occupied and 95% of the stuff's in the right place. But out of 10,000 items, roughly, that we moved, if there's 98 teachers, about 10,000 items that our custodians and furniture guys moved. There are a number of boxes to be picked up and moved and things like that, which we'll take care of next week. Creekview is wrapping up its 2-year construction with a focus in the libraries and the CTE. Here's the library, kind of a refresh, no big structural changes, but creating some collaboration spaces for students as well as some group learning and updating the finishes. Over in the ITA, that's going to get a kind of Cisco feel to it, so that gray area in the middle is actually a Cisco switch, and the kids learn to program and network based on a micro network that they create in these 2 labs. Very cool with the ladder racks and the furniture that goes into that. The one delay that we do have at Creekview, and we've been working with the instructors, Ranchview, is culinary arts. Culinary arts, trying to get that kitchen equipment, we just couldn't get it in time, so that will be an October occupants. But they've got some other classrooms they can work with, and the staff said that they can make that happen. So we're very grateful for them to pivot with us on that, but the culinary arts at Ranchview will not be opening in August. Wrapping up our last round of projects, over at the stadium, we're about 47%. Now remember, that's money out the door, so we're running a little ahead of that as far as construction goes, but that's a good constant number to measure off. Here you can see the summer construction as we start to bring in those giant pieces of pre-constructed precast concrete. Precast is the envy of everyone, if you can afford it. Well, when we bid this project, concrete prices were going through the roof, and actually pour-in-place concrete was the same price as the precast. So precast, they precast it all at their shop, at their yards, and then they bring it in like a giant Lego piece. What's great is when they cast it, it's on the ground and it's in a very controlled condition. So we were fortunate that we got it. So there you see that giant crane swinging those big pieces up there. It's all together. And we will be pushing an occupancy there. We gave the field back to them, 7:25. We are ready for Battle of Carrollton, Creekview versus Smith on 9/2. We will be using the seats and the restrooms. The locker room and the concessions will not be ready yet. We're waiting on a chip for the fire alarm to come in. Everything else is safe. Everything in the open is there. Everything existing is ready to be used. And then about 10:15, we'll be able to punch out those last items, which is that changing room for the visitor side, so they don't have to change on the home side anymore. They'll be able to change right there on the visitor side, as well as that storage and concession building will come in as well. So that'll be happening about October. 6 elementary package is going along very well. Remember, this is the ugly bond, and we're getting into the ugly end of the bond here. These are very small packages. Most of the money is going into the things you don't see. So the slides I'm going to go through is a lot of the stuff that we get to see every day, but know that the money goes into the fire alarm, the technology upgrades, the roof, the HVAC, which are really difficult to photograph. So let's dive into it. The one thing that we do have there is 3 secure vestibules at Kent, McCamey, and Rainwater. So here what happened is when you came through the second set of doors into the building, you were just into the administration area. So we built a wall with a transaction counter like you'd see at Smith or some of the other new builds at secure vestibules. We were delayed on aluminum. Aluminum is extruded and then cut to fit those shapes, and the glass is all silica based, which you can't get right now. So what I did is I had them send me pictures. They have it at their shop and they're fabricating it. We've been having promise of ship dates, and I said, I don't want to have promises, send me pictures. So this afternoon, those are the guys putting together our doors. They'll arrive tomorrow and they'll install on Monday. So we will have the aluminum to put it in. If we don't, for any reason, it's my luck this week, who knows. We will build temporary walls and put solid doors on it, so there will be secure vestibules at those 3 campuses. So either we'll have the aluminum that you see in the pictures by Campbell Glass and the guys working on it, or we'll build a temporary wall, paint it, and there'll be a secure vestibule that way. But whatever happens, Kent, McCamey, and Rainwater will open with secure vestibules. Over into the library features and the front entries over here at Davis, we kind of carried that underwater theme of the dolphins and emphasized their blue colors. And then what you don't see is those 2 guys there are assembling a yellow submarine that's coming in, and that's really exciting. Over at Kent, they got a whitewash in the front, clean up that exterior a little bit, and then the cardinals in the tree. And so a little difficult to see, but there's little red cardinals up in the branches of those trees. McCamey is the trailblazers, so we emphasize the star and their key words there. Again, all of these libraries have the same elements that you saw at McWhorter. Now, these are older schools. They lay out slightly different, so they won't be in exactly the same format, but you're going to have a makerspace kind of element, a booth technology type area, an anchor point. So, because with everything that's movable stacks, movable furniture, we like to create a focal point that stays the same, and that's where these anchor points come from. Over at Rainwater, which are the rockets, we did the Earth, and yep, we found furniture that looks like little meteors and little aliens, because that's fun. Over at Stark, we were asked to refresh around the stage. If you remember, it was very bland and white. There was no emphasis around the stage, so we did some paint and some plastic laminate around there, and in their library, we followed a lighthouse theme, which is one of their curriculum items. And Blair, we did a nest again, and this is that double-story area, which is kind of cool because it emphasizes that big vertical space. Middle school packages, again, remember, we got to touch a little bit of fine arts, theater, and maker space, but the majority of our money went into fire alarm, access, cameras, roof, HVAC, control upgrades, things like that. But in a few of the spaces that we got into that we can see, this is the fine arts area, so a cleanup of new surfaces there. Over at Bush, similar type thing, new storage. You can see we went from this old kind of carpet and some homemade stuff to the Wagner stuff that's acoustically better. Then we also got to make a maker space at each of the campuses as well as theater. So that was the same for all four middle schools. For ribbon cuttings coming up, we'll be looking at the larger projects for ribbon cuttings for Perry, Smith, Creekview, Ranchview, Stadium, and Sheffield. And then for the middle schools and the elementaries, we'll be doing those promises made, promises kept presentations. So each campus will get a flyer. And we'll do the same promises made where we'll go line for line, item for item, creating that receipt for the bond so that everybody can look at it, and it's posted on our website as well, exactly how the money went out and how we achieved the scope for each of those items. And this is where my presentation crashed. And it's the worst thing because it's the slide I struggled with the most. You can't do what we did this summer without a huge team. And we have the most incredible people here at CFB. We have faced, and like I said, it's not a CFB thing. This is all over. I mean, they will tell you that things are available this month, and next month they're not. We hosted summer school at most of our campuses. We hosted camps and other things. Our custodians showed up weekends to move us. Then our maintenance guys showed up to help the construction guys disconnect and reconnect from sprinkler systems to electrical to fire alarm. It was a team effort. And not once from any of our CFB people did we hear, I can't, it's too late, I'm not doing that. As well as our technology and security partners, BJ has been phenomenal. BJ and his folks have really made it happen. Think about when you're going to add 138 cameras plus access controls to a network, well, somebody's got to program that. Somebody's got to tie it back into and no contractor can do that because it's all CFB network stuff. So BJ, Scott, and his team, those guys work tirelessly, as well as our librarians. They gave us those libraries early. Had we not started at spring break, we would be like a lot of those other districts saying, sorry guys, it's going to be plus 2 months, plus 3 months. So while we're about a week behind schedule overall, we're right being able to get there by the finish line. It's only because of all those people coming to the table. So I had some cool pictures of the team, as well as our team, but we don't have them. So I just want to give a big shout out to those folks because they really made the summer happen. With that.
Board members, are there any questions, comments? Mrs. Hatfield.
Thank you. Please share with the team our appreciation. I know you guys have worked tirelessly. As I drive around the district, I can see it. It's every day you go by and you're like, oh, wow, look what's happened today. So thank you. And send us the pictures if you have a chance. Just
Absolutely.
So we can have.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Moroni. We appreciate you.
Ms. Derrick, I wanted to just separate the presentation because I also have a 23 update. And I like to just make sure that we close one before we open the other because it all says bonds and folks forget where we are with things. So just quick update on 23 because we are just at the beginning of that process. The committee, the nominations went out and we collected almost north of 100 nominations, and then we went into that second process of the applications where we asked more questions about involvement in CFB and things like that, and that's where we validated all the addresses to make sure we did that, and Pam and Dawn and her group did phenomenally well. We were north of about 120 plus nominations, applicants, that's the long form. And that's just fantastic. That really allowed us to get a great cross-section, so we're refining that list. Invites will be going out next week, and then we'll be preparing for our first meeting on August 25th. And Huckabee has got a great schedule designed for us where we tour some buildings and we see some new buildings and some old buildings. We look at assessments. We'll be hearing from demographics and finances all the way through to December 8th when we come to that conclusion, and then we'll be bringing that recommendation forward to the board. So in the overall scheme of things, we're right in that middle part there between the board action and the board nomination, and that's where we get to work on the committees. So these are the dates if anybody was curious about them, and there'll be 7 meetings during that period.
Are there any questions? All right, thank you so much. The next agenda item is 4B, Safety and Security Update. Mr. De La Rosa.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Chapman, general public. This evening I'm here to give you a little overview of the department, and as well as provide you with some updates and talk to you about some initiatives as we prepare to go back to school. We all know that safety and security is in the mind of everyone as we all prepare to go back to school. So all districts are scrambling with emergency plans and making sure we have everything in place. So I'll just give a high overview of some of the stuff that we've been concentrating on and tell you a little bit about our department. So really the goal of the Safety and Security Department is to provide a culture of safety, security, emergency preparedness that is integrated and balanced in a comprehensive way, but that is proactive, not alarmist. I think that's important. That is our goal. That's what we strive for every day with everything we do. So this is just an organizational chart of our department. It's really grown the past 3 years since I've been here. So we have a director, an emergency management coordinator, a security officer supervisor. We have 3 security technology positions that help us with all the security technology that we operate. A security support specialist, as well as I'm the liaison to the school resource officer program with our 3 police departments that service us, which is Farmers Branch, Irving PD, and Carrollton PD, of course. We also have 20 campus-based security officers and 5 patrol security officers that operate after hours in the evening and midnight shifts. So we run a 24/7 department. Our budget, as you can see, most of it goes on contracted services. This is really the compensation that is given, that we have contracts with the cities, our SROs, our school resource officers. Most of our budget goes to pay those officers that are in our schools, in our secondary schools. And then you see the other breakdown of just operational expenses. So I'll just briefly talk about some of these. Some of the programs, as you will know, we have the Safe and Supportive Schools programs. That includes our threat assessment as well as our collaboration with our mental health and our counselors. Our SRO program, as I've already mentioned. Our District Security Officers program. And just our district-wide safety training program that we have. This past year, we went to every single one of our campuses, and we reviewed our standard response protocols with the staff, with all the schools, and we plan to do the same this year. We have quite a bit. After COVID, it was necessary to just go back and kind of reset and just make sure that everybody knew what to do in any drill or any emergency, from lockdowns to fire drills to secure to shelter in place. We'll do the same this year, but we'll add the component of the reunification. What happens in a reunification? What is our expectation for the campus, and how are we going to support you from the district side? And then just our emergency management program. In our security technology, we continue to use our safety tools like Gaggle, Genetech, which is really a unified platform. Anonymous alerts, where kids can report wrongdoings or anything they feel is been very productive. And then just our Navigate 360, which is a new platform where it'll help everyone, it'll help our principals have everything in one place. They'll schedule their drills there, and it'll have all the safety and security information in one place instead of Google Documents or any Google Drive. Plus, it'll be highly secured. So just some enhancements. So recently, just last week, we met with our School Safety and Security Committee. That is mandated by law 3 times a year. But given the recent events in Uvalde, TEA mandated that all districts meet with their Safety and Security Committee to review some of their processes. And we met with our stakeholders, which include our police, fire, EMS, as well as some parents, and as well as Dr. Black and Ms. Brady. And it was a very good, productive meeting, and we discussed our emergency plan with them. We talked about multi-hazard plans, but especially emergency response to such things as active shooters and what happens and how well prepared we are, and just so we got input from all our stakeholders, and good things came out of it. And then we discussed about short-term and long-term strategies that I'll talk about right now. As you well know, we had a community listen and learn. Not long ago, we heard from a lot of the public with a lot of good, valid points and concerns. And one of the things that the Safety Committee unanimously, there was a resolution unanimously passed, and it was recommended that we add additional district security officers for each one of our elementary campuses. So we're in the process of hiring and adding 1 security officer for every one of our elementary campuses, and that includes the Child Development Center. So we've already started. We've hired to date 7 officers. So the goal is to hire 25 and possibly more to cover when they're out or somebody's on leave. So I think this was not too many districts are doing that. Every district is scrambling around. Some districts are serviced by their police. Some have their own internal police, but it's hard to put officers in every single one of the campuses. So I think this is going to be very good. I think having that authority figure at our elementary campuses is really going to be able to collaborate with not only making sure that doors are closed and making sure that all the protocols of keeping doors locked and helping out in any emergency is available to the campus. Our emergency plans and procedures are always being updated. Reunification plans, we talked recently we met with the City of Carrollton Emergency Management Office, and reunification is a big thing because I think a lot of times we say, well, we have to reunify kids, we'll take our kids, bus them to another campus, but we never think about the impact we're going to cause on the other campus. So we've been very fortunate working with the City of Carrollton. They've provided different venues in case it is needed that we have to reunify a campus. So that'll be included in our emergency plans and in the locations of such places in case we need to. Some initiatives, some short-term and long-term strategies. TEA summer requirements. June 30th, all districts received TEA letter basically stating that these are musts and you must comply and turn in your results by September the 9th. One of them being exterior door audits, which we've completed, and we're doing our interior door audits as well, making sure that all classroom doors lock, that all the hardware is operational. So we're in that process. CRACE training, that'll start on Monday and Tuesday. That's the civilian response to active shooter events. The last time we had that was 3 years ago, and Carrollton-Farmers branch, Carrollton PD will spearhead that training. So we're looking forward to that. We'll have 2 sessions on Monday, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. You're welcome to come, and another one on Tuesday. I think this is important, and especially because we have a lot of new teachers. And just a reminder, I know we had great success, and it's a little overwhelming. It can scare people, but it's not meant for that purpose. It's really meant just so they can be aware of what happens and the options they have. That's when we introduce the avoid, deny, defend in lockdown situations. First responder access, we're planning on, we've gotten together with our law enforcement partners and making sure that they have everything they need to get into our campuses in case of a lockdown. That includes keys, access cards, whatever is needed. So to make sure that, you know, as, like they say, as the cavalry is coming to assist that campus, that we provide, and we provide all we can, all the tools we have to have our people respond effectively. And then secure by design, working with construction as well as our safety committee, making sure that as we upgrade our campuses, there's a balance between, you know, the design and keeping security in mind as well. This is all I have. As you will know, there's a lot of things that we can't go in really deep, but I'd be glad to answer any questions and right now, or you know, if you need further clarification on some of our initiatives or updates, I'd be glad to answer them as well. Just an update, Farmers Branch Elementary, I know that it was brought up during the listening learn, and that has been addressed, and it's ready for the first day of school, like many of our other campuses.
Board members, are there any questions? Ms. Benavides.
Thank you for your report. I'm sure the design and security is a big challenge, and we appreciate all your work. Considering Farmers Branch Elementary, so you said it's ready to go. What changes were made to that facility?
So I'll talk on that. Let me
Thank you.
just do that.
Thank you.
So Mario and Malcolm and myself met with local law enforcement to look at, you know, what is the easiest way to allow students to flee if they need to. And so we put multiple barriers in. And so now not only do you have the vestibule for them to come in, if they now take a right, there's going to be some doors there, a barricade door. And then in each of the wings, there's also going to be double doors as well that are also can be locked. This actually allows for those single rooms, instead of there being just a single door on there and then that teacher and students sitting in that room, they can actually leave the room because you got two barriers of doors to where they could make an exit from the outside or get into a room where there's windows where if they could escape in that way too. So there was a lot of work put into this. Really, law enforcement gave a lot of recommendations on what that looks like as we move that forward. And so, but we walked it. We went over and looked at it. Mr. Mersch, I, several of us went and looked, and it's all up, and the construction's been completed.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. De La Rosa.
Thank you.
We will proceed to our next agenda item, item 5, consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the public notice for this meeting includes the list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance. Prior to any action taken on the consent agenda, board members may request withdrawal of an individual item for clarification or discussion. Board members, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda at this time? Ms. Brady.
I'd like to remove item Z.
That was Z? Okay. Yes. And Ms. Benavides? Same. Okay. If there are no other items to be removed, do I have a motion regarding the consent agenda as amended? Mrs. Hatfield.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented with the removal of item 6Z, or 5Z, sorry, 5Z.
Do I have a second? Ms. Benavides? Okay. Are there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Seeing all hands raised, that is 6 in favor, no opposed, and the motion has carried. The next agenda item is number 6, items for discussion and/or action. At this time, Ms. Brady, would you like to speak on item Z? And Ms. Brady, will you pull your microphone down towards your face? It'll pull, there you go.
There we go. I'll get it eventually. I would just like to ask Dr. West if we could to talk about what the restorative practice books are.
I'm going to move over here because that microphone over there is not working very well. So, the books that we're going to purchase are actually a couple of different things. One of them is about the restorative practices, and then the other one is about inclusive practices. And inclusive practices means, especially with our special education students, how everyone on a campus, every teacher is involved in making sure that our students get the access to the curriculum that they need. The restorative practices books are about including and working with students on how you act and how you are as a person, which means, as I've talked before about restorative practices with you as a board, it's all the way from affective statements like, good morning, how are you feeling today? And those kind of welcoming things that you set up in a school, to the restorative kinds of things that you do when you've created harm. If you pulled somebody's hair, and you're a kindergartner, it is about restoring harm and being able to have the words to speak to somebody else when you are working to make sure that your relationship is restored.
Ms. Benavides?
Mr. Jones spoke of several different things regarding this and the critiquing of systemic inequities. Can you explain that? Or, I don't understand that.
The materials that we're purchasing are, again, about helping every student see him or herself as an active and viable part of the community. We're an organization where we want, just like we do in this room, we want people to be able to talk to each other, be able to learn from each other, be able to understand the different things that we do. It really is about people and relationships to each other and about how we treat people.
So when he spoke of, and again, I don't know anything about this book, and I appreciate what he's brought to the table. I want to fully understand that, but he mentioned ideology.
Culturally relevant teaching is different than critical race theory. And a lot of times people get those two confused because of the letters that are for both of them are the same. But culturally relevant teaching is about that back to understanding people, understanding where they come from, understanding just like we do in social studies. We learn about a lot of different people and a lot of different cultures.
So when he used that word, I looked it up, and is it, you want, okay.
Let me get more information on this. Let's pull this item. Let's not vote on this item tonight. Let me get more information to make sure we're getting in-depth information on what you're asking, because I don't think the questions are being answered, and not in any way. So let's just pull it. Let's not vote on it, and let's go to 6B, and I'll get you some more detailed information, unless you decide otherwise.
Okay.
That's good with me.
Item 6Z is going to be pulled. Does anyone else have anything to add? Okay. 6B is the next item. Consider approve the district and campus improvement plans. I will turn it over to Tracy Smith, our Assistant Superintendent. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Ms. Durack, and Board of Trustees. I appreciate that. I want you to know that each year our campuses work really hard to put together both the district improvement plan and the campus improvement plans. District Improvement Plan is put together, of course, by the District Improvement Council with the recommendations from cabinets and their input in actually what goes into the plan. So the DIC has put together the plan that you have in front of you and are hoping that you have looked favorably upon it and will approve that for the year. We have moved to a new platform, and with the new platform, it comes with a very rigorous needs assessment. So each campus and the district as a whole went through all of their data, taking a look at what are the real needs and how can we move the campuses and the district as a whole forward. Then strategies have been built that go along with that, and then all of our resources have been utilized to pay for the strategies that we feel are most beneficial. So everything that you saw in those plans comes from a need that was identified through the data. Those plans as I said, at the district level, go through the District Improvement Council. The plans at the campus level go through the Campus Improvement Councils. And so they have had a chance to see the items, go through the data and the needs assessment together, and then they have approved that prior to being sent to you. You all are the ultimate approvers of all of those plans, and so please know that we've been feverishly working on everything over the summer, trying to make sure that everything's ready. But should you have any concerns with anything, we of course would take those into consideration and make adjustments if needed.
Do I have a motion on this item? Ms. Brady.
I'd like to move to approve the district improvement plan as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Okay. Ms. Hatfield, is there any discussion? Go ahead, Ms. Herbert.
That needs to be district improvement plan and campus.
Thank you.
Are you referring to the motion that was made? Okay, Ms. Brady, can you restate the motion?
I'd like to motion that we approve the district improvement plan as well as all of the campus improvement plans as presented.
Okay, that was the motion, and do we still have a second for Ms. Hatfield? Okay, any discussion? Okay, Mrs. Herbacek.
Yeah, I just want to comment that I was the board liaison to the District Improvement Council, and and I had expressed my thanks then, but to the entire council, and just want to let my colleagues know that it was a broad range of representatives from our district and our community, including community members and parents and staff. A really great representation, new teachers and seasoned teachers, and so and the attention to detail and conversations in the breakout groups, because we had Zoom breakout groups that we got to listen to, and just really great discussion and comments and feedback, and I think everyone shared their thoughts, and so there was a lot of effort, as Ms. Smith said, and thought put into the plan and making sure that it moves us forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Hatfield.
So first of all, in reading the plans for the district improvement plan and the campus improvement plan, just echoing, I know you saw it firsthand in the district improvement plan, but just reading it, it is clear that we are really designing things to improve and get better every year, because that's what we want to do for kids. And after attending our last training, I just want to challenge my colleagues that we think about and go back and read again with the lens of policy, and think about, are there any policies that we can put in place that will support the work that the district is trying to do? I reread it again today with a different lens after our last training, and it kind of made me think, I wonder if we need to look at any additional policies to really support that work.
Excellent. Anyone else? Mrs. Brady.
Ms. Hatfield, I totally agree with you. After our last training and reading through it again, I actually served on the committee that put this together, although we didn't put this together. It looks really pretty now. But a part of the committee that got all this, the ideas and all the discussion was just amazing, and I really look forward to what our district has in the future. I mean, it's awesome.
Very nice. Anyone else? Okay, with that said, are all in favor, raise your hand. And that is 6 in favor, none opposed, and the motion has carried. The next item is 6C, consider approve the designation of voting delegate and alternate delegate to the TASA-TASB General Conference. Each year, the Texas Association of School Board invites school boards in Texas to designate one voting delegate and one alternate as a as a representative to the TASB Delegate Assembly held in conjunction with the annual TASB Conference. It has been the practice each year for the CFB ISD Board of Trustees to designate a voting delegate and an alternate using a process of nomination and a majority vote of the board. At this time, do I have a motion to nominate? Okay, we will start with delegate and then we will go to alternates. So do I have a motion to nominate the delegate? Ms. Hatfield.
Before I make a motion, can we talk a little bit more about what this is for our newer board members?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the Delegate Council, and Tara, you may have to help me a little bit, has two purposes. One is that from the Legislative Advisory Council, these delegates work to, at the council, they present what has been advised by the Legislative Council for TASB. They present what has been designed from that group, from the long process that they've been through, and then there is discussion among all of the delegates from all of the different districts about any changes that may go forward and be voted on before they finalize and approve the legislative priorities for the TASB Association, where they go and support in the legislature to help make sure the priorities that represent school districts and school boards are actively hosted. And that's one purpose. And then the other purpose is changes in the processes and procedures, kind of like our board policies, I guess I would say. Changes in that, and that goes before the delegate. So TASB is very much intended for us to be a part of the decision making, and so by voting a delegate to go, that means we have a voice in the room, and we have someone on the board that's able to go and vote on our behalf. And you can go to the mic and speak, kind of like public comment here, and be able to share that. So I just wanted to share that. I know Mr. Bocek has been the delegate in the past. I was the alternate last year and then served on the Legislative Advisory Council this year. So I think it's really important that we delegate someone to go and someone to be the alternate.
With that said, do you have a nomination?
I am happy. I'm happy to nominate Mr. Bocek to attend. Yes, nominate Mr. Bocek.
Okay, we have a nomination for Ms. Hrabacek. Ms. Brady.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Are there any other names? Ms. Hrabacek.
Just something for the board to consider. I'm happy to accept that nomination. I enjoy that delegate assembly. I mean, it's fun. I find it fun. I mean, but because you get to hear just different perspectives and people, you know, how a word could change the intent of an advocacy, you know, a policy or a cornerstone, because we also, if there's amendments to the cornerstone policies of TASB, you know, that's what's voted on too. I'm happy to be the CFB representative. I just want to, you know, offer to the board, Ms. Hatfield has participated in the legislative action, you know, committee from the grassroots. That's a grassroots effort from the start to, you know, getting those things finalized and what would be presented to. So she has the full background of that information. So I just wanted to let y'all know that, but whatever.
Ms. Hrabacek, is that a nomination?
I'm happy to do, I mean, yeah, that's fine. I'll
Okay,
nominate
so
Ms.
we have
Hatfield.
a nomination for Ms. Hatfield, and for Ms. Hrabacek. Are there any others? Okay, no others? We will take a vote then. If you are in favor of Ms. Hatfield being the voting delegate for TASB, please raise your hand.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there two people that were, okay.
So we are going to vote tonight on the primary person, which is the delegate, and then also an alternate. So we'll open up the floor for nominations for the alternate after we finish the delegate.
So are they nominating each other for the same position?
Currently, yes.
Yes.
Yes, that is currently what is happening.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so if you are in favor of Ms. Hatfield for the delegate position for TASB, please raise your hand. That is unanimous, 6 votes for Ms. Hatfield. We will move on to the alternate delegate. Do I have a motion to nominate an alternate delegate? Ms. Benavides, go ahead.
Ms. Hrbacek.
Okay. Ms. Brady,
I was going to second
same.
that.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Okay. At this time, please raise your hand if you are in favor of Ms. Hrbacek as the alternate delegate. And that vote is unanimous, 6-0. Well done. Next item is 6D, consider approve all matters related to the endorsement of the TASB Board of Directors nomination. In July, a list of nominated individuals for election to the TASB Board of Directors was distributed. As stipulated in TASB bylaws, the CFB ISD Board of Trustees is eligible to endorse one nominee for Region 10, Position B. Individuals on the list are Nicole Bentley from Coppell ISD, DeAndrea Fleming from DeSoto ISD, Lasanja Flowers Ivory from Duncanville ISD, Linda Gooch, the incumbent, from Sunnyvale ISD, Carolyn Ann Morris from Lancaster ISD, and Jeff Striplin from Bland ISD. In your board materials, under the yellow cover, you were given information on candidates running for a position on the TASB Board of Directors representing Region 10. A paper copy of this information with the yellow cover sheet was also given to you tonight. At this time, do any of you wish to make a motion to endorse a candidate? I would like to endorse Linda Gooch from Sunnyvale ISD. Are there any others? Okay, at this time, we will vote for Linda Gooch from Sunnyvale ISD. Please raise your hand if you are voting in favor of Linda Gooch from Sunnyvale ISD. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We have Carolyn Benavides as the second. Any discussion? Okay. At this time, please raise your hand if you are in favor of Linda Gooch from Sunnyvale ISD. That vote is 6-0. Linda Gooch has been selected as the representative, the choice of representative for CFB. The board will move on to the next agenda item, number 7, comments from board members regarding posted agenda items. Board members, do you have any comments you wish to make at this time related to the posted agenda? Mrs. Hrbacek.
It was mentioned in several agenda items that, we're back to school, so I just want to extend a big thank you to our staff and our facilities folk, everybody that has gotten us to this point, or will get us to the first day of school upcoming, and wish everybody a great year.
Ms. Benavides.
And I would also like to welcome all of our new teachers. Their enthusiasm and their willingness to choose us is very heartfelt, and I'm very appreciative, and I can't wait to see the great things they'll bring to our district.
Anyone else? Mrs. Hatfield.
Just echoing that, I also want to add that it was really exciting to see the Optimizing Outcomes Conference back and to see teachers there in person, but even more so, I saw pictures of teachers leading sessions, which was really exciting to see our own people out there being leaders, and so it's really exciting to welcome everybody back to this year.
I will just agree with everyone, and I am very excited. It's going to be the best year yet. So welcome back, CFB ISD. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our agenda, and we are adjourned at 8:07.